So, as countries across Latin America and the Caribbean work towards scalable and sustainable digital transformation, many governments face challenges in developing and maintaining DPI. So, DPI as a service, DaaS approach, offers a compelling solution, providing modular, interoperable DPI components that can be rapidly deployed, cost efficient, and tailored to local needs. So, this session will showcase practical insight and real world implementations of the DaaS model, highlighting how it enables faster adoption, reduces implementation barriers, and ensures long term sustainability. So, this session is titled DPI as a Packaged Solution in the LAC region. Now, we have two speakers. We met one of them yesterday, and I'm just going to introduce him as the servant of the people, and that is Dr. Inshan Meahjohn. And joining him is Mr. Manuel Aguilera, and he is the lead of the Latin America and the Caribbean for the CDPI, which is the Center for DPI. He's also a sociologist, a Chevening scholar with a master's degree in innovation, public policies, and public value. Ladies and gentlemen, please make our speakers welcome.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. So thank you, everyone, for being here. I want to start by thanking CoDevelop and UEI for hosting us, and Luciana and Inshan for joining me today. So today we are going to go talk a little bit about DPI as a package solution and what this approach to building DPI really means. And I want to pick up, starting by something that was said yesterday a few times, that this idea that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go with others. But then Matthew brought an important point too, that it's we can't really afford to go slow. So we need to go far, but we also need to go fast. So hopefully today I'm going to try to convince you that if you want to go fast, go DaaS. So DaaS is the short for DPI as a package solution. And I want to start by telling you a little bit more about what's the problem that we are trying to address. And then you're going to hear about like real life implementations and what we are doing on the ground. So let's say you are really inspired, you work in government, you are really inspired of what everything you've heard in the last few days, you go back to your country and you want to start building DPI. This is a super simplified cycle, implementation cycle of everything you would need to do. You would need to decide what you want to build, who in the government is going to own that DPI block. You would need to form a team, select the right people, maybe onboard a consulting firm that's going to help you throughout the process, put together some initial RSPs, define all the entire specifications, get the approval, get the budget. That might take a lot of time. Go through a procurement process, select a vendor, onboard that vendor, start building, and then finally test that solution and put it out there. But maybe you get to point number 6 and you realize that in point number 2, you got something wrong. So you need to start all over again. And maybe at that point, election comes, the government changes, that window of opportunity closes, and you end up with nothing. So we can't afford to go slow. We need to go faster. So this is what we call the traditional custom build approach. Basically, governments trying to build DPI from scratch. The good news is that we were all here yesterday, and we also heard talk about this thing called DPGs. So now we also know that there are some open source solutions that can make our life simpler. So now the risks, the cost, the time, the capabilities needed within government should reduce dramatically. Except that what a lot of people started seeing in the ecosystem in the last few years is that on top of those DPGs, you sometimes need to do some heavy customization, and that might also take a lot of time, a lot of investment. Maintaining that technology must be costly. So some people got together and decided that we needed to reduce this friction even further. And a year and a few months ago, this paper was put out there. This paper called The Future of Digital Public Infrastructure, a thesis for rapid global adoption, had a really simple premise. We should prepackage how these solutions were built. So when these windows of opportunity would open, countries would have something ready to plug and play and install in their infrastructures, to upgrade their current infrastructures for them to become a DPI. So this is what we call prepackaged solutions. So who started working in this prepackaged solution? A lot of the people in this room and a lot of the people in the broader ecosystems. So funders and supporters got aligned. These DPGs started working together to try to understand what the gaps and what the best implementation practice would were. They trained service providers and they certified them for them to be ready to go out there and implement. Some independent software vendors that were basically startups that were building DPI solutions, sometimes on top of this DPG solution, and some hyperscalers, cloud providers, got together and built a model that was called DaaS, DPI as a package solution, to really have something ready for countries to take off the shelf and implement, with the idea of trying to reduce this friction even more. So a year ago, we launched this initiative and we started talking to countries and we started asking them if they would be interested in leading this approach. We talked to dozens of countries throughout the world, and 2 countries, both from our region, so that makes us really proud, that were Brazil and Trinidad and Tobago, said, we are ready to try this approach. We want to implement. We want to go DaaS because we want to go fast. What does a prepackaged solution mean? Of course, it means the technology kit. The technology is ready to implement, and it's the certified service provider. But it's also standardized and rapid funding schemes. Getting access to funding takes sometimes months or up to a year. So we've been working with funders to get them aligned to be ready to fund these rapid deployments when the best use case were ready to implement. But it also means standardizing everything that a policymaker needs to implement. So everything from an execution readiness checklist to all the legal documents that you need templatized, sample costing models to really try to accelerate identifying how much this would cost, all the policy kits and the program rollout guidelines. And we started working on this solution. So now I'm going to hand it over to the real people that are really doing this in the ground for them to tell us a little bit more about what's the specific problems that they are trying to solve and how they are doing it. So we've heard a lot about CAR in the previous keynote. So maybe Luciana, you want to talk us a little bit more what's this +1 approach that we are trying to build together in Brazil.
Hello, can you hear? Okay. Hello again. As I mentioned in the last panel, in Brazil, CAR are a document, registry that is used to rural credit application. And how is the rural credit scenario in Brazil? To apply for rural credit, usually individuals need to need 18 documents about personal documents and property documents, and these documents are in different institutions and different systems, and usually the person has low digital literacy, so it's not so simple to obtain these documents and apply for rural credit. And we face some difficulties about the personal documents because, as I mentioned, different institutions and different systems, and usually it's not so clear how to get these documents. Some of them are easier, some of them we need a third part to do this, and we were talking about the personal documents, about who I am, and it's not so simple. And also, the rural credit applicant must provide also property documents. One of them are car, and there is no a single channel for consultant, and also there is a technical documentation that requires specialized support, because the person need to attest which part of the land will be financial So it's not a simple document to provide, and 100% of the time requires a specialized support. So we have a person who has low digital literacy that must go to a lot of institutions and a lot of systems to require for a public policy, and sometimes a right that the person has. And based on this, we think, what if we implement verifiable credentials in Brazil? When we went to India, we know Inji wallet that provide what is one of the building blocks of MOSIP, that provide verifiable credential, and it fits perfect in Brazil and in this use case, because the whole documents will be in one place, and the owner of the data will share what was really needed for the application. The car documents has a lot of data. Not the whole data are used to verify the environmental compliance. So what's really need for the rural credit application? And based on this verifiable credential, it's a perfect solution that helps the landowner or landholder in the scenario, because there will not the person will not have to go to a lot of institutions and sometimes print a document and scan it and send to the bank. The whole documents will be in one platform. This is an example of the documents required by a private bank, Banco Brasília Bank in Brazil. Some documents about the person, about the land in the second block, also about the land in the third block. The first one is car, and also more documents about the land. Basically, this is the mainly documents that are required, and this is a real model here. Yeah, and it's one of the banks. The complexity of the documents can increase based on the risk. The higher the risk to the bank, more documents of guarantee are asked. So, what are the benefits and expected results that we are facing? We have a consultant that was in Brazil during a week to know more about this use case. And based on the client perspective, the bank perspective, and the government perspective, he started to draw some benefits and to calculate what will be the impact of the implementation of verifiable credentials. So we expect to decrease the time of application for your credit. It can take days or I don't know, weeks, maybe 4 weeks. There is no standard. Also, we expect to reduce $30 save per person. Only the person perspective. We didn't calculate by the bank perspective yet. And usually in Brazil, we have 2 million applicants that can get the bank, the rural credit. So we expect to reduce 66 million save per user during a year. During a year. And also reduce bureaucracy because, well, it will be, the whole documents will be in one platform. And the next steps, we want to expand document coverage to include all of the other 17. We are starting with CAR because CAR is under the Ministry of Innovation Management. And we want to include the whole or other documents and also enable interoperability, providing connections between other systems with verifiable credentials. So the other system will have a trust data to fill some misfilled in the system, for example. And the systems that is our goal is fiscal and agrarian database.
Thank you, Luciana. Inshan, do you want to walk us through
Thank
what
you,
you're doing
Manuel.
in Trinidad and
No
Tobago?
problem. So imagine for a moment you came to UE, Mona, and a professor, and you spent your 3 years or your 5 years, and you got your qualifications. You're excited at this moment, and now you have to go into the job market. Here's the challenge. You now have to apply for a job. And one of the issues in applying for a job is to get your credentials and present it to the employer. Let's say, for example, imagine that you were shortlisted and they would wanted to do due diligence on checking to see if that credential was real. We know that with the advent of technology, which is good and also bad, that you can fake those certificates. That means that the employer, the prospective employer, has to take time, money, and effort to validate you. It also means that the student, and I know we're academics in the room, we have never tested the stress quotient of what a student has to go through after they've graduated for a 3 to 5 year program in terms of finding that job. And we want to make that as simple as possible. So, again, imagine for a moment, instead of having that physical document that can be burnt, that could be lost and not trusted, you have an instant, verifiable credential directly issued from the institution itself using DaaS, using the work that Manuel and his team has done. And this was done in 5 weeks, by the way. And it's the first in the world, right? First in the world. And it means that that student is going to have less stress. It also means that it's going to create a marketplace for, and we have a platform called Employee TT, where we can even automate and verify that the student who has a verified credential on that system is already credited with a degree or master's. So it means then that the extra due diligence is not there. So it can actually change the process of shortlisting because you already know that these people are verified and it gives them a competitive advantage. So we think from a stress perspective, from a speed perspective, and just from a quality of life perspective, this helps. And I really wanted to thank you, Manuel. This is amazing. And this is what you're looking at. It's called Verify TT for now. But UE St. Augustine is part of the pilot, as well as the University of Trinidad and Tobago. So both of them will be issuing these credentials in the next few weeks.
If you hit play there, we can see a demo of how the platform is working. Hopefully, no, it didn't. But that's the template degree. But maybe from the maybe from the technical desk they can help us run the video. But this is great. Well, we figured out the video. I just wanted to pick up on a few points. First, I like that you both are here because of the contrast of the countries and the use cases. So Trinidad and Tobago is a relatively small country, 1.5 million people. Brazil, it's a huge continental country, the biggest in our region. The use cases are really different. You were talking, Luciana, about how the digital illiteracy is a huge gap for you. On the other hand, we are talking about university graduates. So by definition, is people that have way more access to technology. So the use cases are really different. The countries, the context, the institutional capabilities, the landscape is really different. But the building block is the same because we are building solutions that are simple, designed to do just one thing, but get it right. And we are not starting from scratch. It's not like we are redesigning the whole car or redesigning your whole university system. We are just adding a few capabilities. This is what we call the +1 approach. And the final thing that I wanted to highlight is the reusability of DPI components. So we are starting with these use cases, but once a country is able to issue and verify verifiable credentials, you can start replicating that capability in other fronts. Can we see the video in the meantime? Yeah. So hopefully this won't be too disruptive, but it's basically just a demo of the product and how this works. But maybe we can, in the meantime, we can start discussing like what's next. What's your vision to replicate this technology, this building block across other sectors, other ministries? What's the vision for the upcoming months?
So now let
I don't know
me
who wants to
select
start.
UTT. As a UTT,
Yeah,
issue,
can we mute it?
issue multiple credentials. So
Yeah,
our
no, that's
credentials is
perfect. We can
graduation
mute it. We can mute it.
similarly, we can issue multiple.
Thank you. You wanna tell us a little bit more in the meantime while we see the video on?
Sure, no problem. Thank you for that. So you're actually seeing a live demo of the solution here. So this is not going to stop at academic credentials. As you could imagine, we can use this and we can scale this to any solution that requires a verified credential. And as a matter of fact, we're in discussions for other use cases. We want to be able to talk to CXC, we want to talk to the Ministry of Education, and those are in the academic spaces. But if you think about even driver's permits, land deeds, and other things, we are looking at that as well. But we want to ensure that this is rolled out. We want to ensure that it is effective. We want to ensure that the student is happy, and then we will move to the next stage quickly, agreed, but we will move there in a way that these students will be the ambassadors for their parents, for the ones who are less technologically inclined to say, this works, I trust it. Matthew, what's your word? Trust.
So, in short time, as I mentioned, we want to add the other documents to complete the rural credit scenario. And after we want to add some documents about insurance that we have in Brazil that we call seguro defeso, that is related to the people that work with fish, and when they're not the good, they're not having too much um, um, they're not can provide getting money by selling fish, then they can request for seguro defeso. And we want to add also these documents in the wallet. And in the future, we are also exploring the educational area, but it's not so clear about our case study there.
Thank you. So what you're seeing in the video in the meantime, it's a person accessing the wallet, downloading a credential, and then go into a different portal, in this case, Verify TT, to get it verified, to verify that that's authentic as a way of authentication. So basically, we live in societies that heavily paper-based. We rely on paper a lot. We depend on paper to prove everything from a degree to our citizenship, to our right to vote, to our right to drive a car. And we are trying to move away from that. And verifiable credentials, it's basically that. It's a way to add verifiability to any paper-based document, and also the capability to make it a digital credential. And we want to do it fast. We can be living in paperless societies in a few years from now. So here you have a room full of funders, multilaterals, academics, DPGs. Basically, you have representatives from the whole DPI ecosystem here. So I want to ask you now how we can help you move faster, move quickly, and get to scale at a faster pace. So what would be the message for the ecosystem?
Well, I think that DaaS was really important to implement, as Manuel said, quickly to provide a quickly implementation. And I think that you can help us also with the maintain part. It's an important thing to us. And based on verifiable credential to identify other potential building blocks to turn our solution more robust.
So digital transformation is a team effort. It's a team effort. And our success is anchored in cross-sector cooperation, open standards, and a shared vision of a digitally enabled future. So really, I think the message is, and you talked about all of the partners, we have to work together. And we really have to work together. I mean, I can't think of one complaint manual and the process that we went ahead to get this done, because you listened to the problem, we came up with a use case, we designed a way forward, very quickly got to the right resources that were required, and currently we're in the testing phase, right? So again, I have to say thank you so much for that, and I can't wait to see that first student get his or her job via this process. And just one thing to say, we're not just building systems, we're building the future.
Thank you, Inshan. You're really kind. And we hope to be live in just a few weeks from now. So hopefully next time we're on a panel, we won't be showing a video of a demo, but we will be showing the real product already in production. I think we still have a few minutes left, so maybe we can open for a few questions from the audience in case there are any. There's one there and in the back.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions for the Brazilian case. The first one is how much money did you pay for developing this car system, and how much money are you paying every year for operation expenditures? More or less in US dollars. That's the first question. Sorry. And the second one is it's very interesting the case for loans and credit, capacity for citizens. But I was wondering, don't you use that for taxpayers? I mean, to pay taxes, for wealth taxes or income taxes. So tax authority can withdraw the information and tell whether or not someone is properly paying or not, or how much every citizen is supposed to pay according to the cadastre. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't understand the second question. Sorry.
So if I'm a taxpayer, maybe I have to pay taxes according to my income or my wealth. And my wealth is stemming from the land that I own, right? So that land is registered in the cadastre system, right? So the tax authority has an incentive to actually withdraw the information from your system to tell whether or not someone is paying properly the tax, and is not evading tax. So my question is, Is this the case right now in Brazil? Are they using your system in order to uh, increase the tax collection of the nation, or not?
I get it. For the first question, we spend about 700,000 reais per month to sustain and develop system. I don't know how to calculate this per year, but and about the second question, it was our dream because we really would like that the system was interoperable. That
But it's not then.
it's not.
Hey,
Yeah, it's not. There are APIs for this, but some the tax institutional is not using yet, and some bureaucracy. But it's our dream that tax use car and car use the personal data provided by the institutional that is tax, but it's not happening yet.
thank you.
Just to add, according to ChatGPT, that's roughly $100,000 per month, a little bit more. Maybe you can take like 2 or 3 questions and then get them all together. There's also someone in the background that was.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing with us the cases. I have a question for Verify TT. Is the platform target for young people who just graduate from university, or is also for older people? And if it is, they have faced challenges in its use?
Right, so that's a great question. So initially, the first test case that we have are the initial credentials that the university is going to issue. So what you're going to see is for the next graduation cohort, it's going to be done there. But we also do have a program called We Learn TT out of the Ministry of Digital Transformation that is doing short courses, and they're also in the pilot. And that's really for individuals who are not as ICT savvy and getting certification. But it will be rolled out to many more.
First of all, congratulations. It's amazing to see, obviously, these types of products and services being created so quickly and then being available to citizens. I wanted to ask a little bit about your experience working with DPGs. So obviously you've used a digital public good to implement this verifiable credential. So your experience in that process, and who is doing the work and how you intend to take that forward in terms of kind of managing and maintaining it moving forward. Thank you.
Maybe we can take one more question and then we can answer both. I think there was someone with a mic. Yeah, there.
Thank you. For the TT rollout, I'm wondering if you have a monitoring and evaluation plan for that. And I ask the question for this reason. Because so many children are much more digital savvy than their parents, of course, it's going to help the students and give them some stress reduction. It will likely also give a lot of stress reduction to the parents. And it will also demonstrate the value of this DPG and DPI in general, not in those terms, to the parents when you then take the next step to roll out using these kinds of verification for other purposes. Individual identifications, land registry, bank accounts, all of that stuff. So the monitoring and evaluation of this might be very useful for all of that. And also, will it be shared? Thank you.
Well, our experience in developing a DPG was amazing because we saw in practical how reuse is important to avoid spend time developing something from scratch. And we use Ingi to develop verifiable credential and GovBR to authenticate also. So we in Brazil we unite the two building blocks, important building blocks, and there are some technical implements like normal, but it decreased so much the time of implementation because Ingi is already done, and we have to adapt to do some adaptation to implement GovBR to authenticate, but they are both are done, and I saw the value of reuse, and I saw in practical two building blocks interacting, one of the India, one of the Brazil. So I'm here to say it's possible and it's real and it's working.
Can I add a point on that? So we've worked really closely, especially for the first use cases, directly with the DPG for us to support us in the building the use case and getting all the technical specificities right. But for us, it was really important, and we invested a lot of time to get all the ecosystem aligned. So the layer of service providers is critical for us. And we talk about service providers and not system integrators, because what we are asking the service providers is to support the country, not just in building a system, but also in getting traction, in getting adoption, in getting the all the policy artifacts that they need. So the only way that we see this scaling is through an interaction between governments, the DPGs, but also the private ecosystem getting aligned.
And to answer the M&E question, so yes, M&E is baked into what we're looking at. As a matter of fact, what we're trying to do is to encourage a couple of students that are doing their masters to study this. And we do have one student that wants to use it as their thesis. So thank you for that great question.
Yes, this off-the-shelf solution is so simple and attractive, I can't help but being skeptical. So I want to ask about Brazil's experience, because we have to come back to what we are interrogating here, which is about the Caribbean. Sovereign states, and that has made the integration experiment complicated. You operate a federal system with CAR. Conceptually, it's fine, but in implementation, as between the federal government, state government, different legislative frameworks, what challenges have you experienced?
CAR is a federal registry, and we don't face challenges with the state level because CAR it's a federal registry. Some of our challenges are dealing with a high number of registries. It's more about infrastructure than about legal and political problems. So our challenge is how to provide an infrastructure that allows 7 million people to consult their data and verify this. It's okay?
Yeah, I just want to add to that. First, I think you're doing well in being skeptical. We should be of all approaches. And DaaS is not a silver bullet that's going to solve every use case in every country, in every state of maturity. So DaaS is an approach that works for some countries and some specific building blocks. For example, CAR, they are doing their journey to become like a full DPI, but has different components, and some of them were not. That was not the best approach. That was the best approach to issue verifiable credentials because there were like certain prerequisites. So that wouldn't help if, for example, you still have all your records on paper. Then you are not ready, you are not there yet to implement this specific building block. First, you need to digitize your records. So there are some nuances, and that's why we have only 2 countries for the moment sitting here from all the ones that we talked to.
Just first of all, I want to congratulate Brazil team and Luciana here. I think it's a great use case of how the compliance can be converted into a value use case for the user. It's a fantastic use case because typically climate change is all about compliance, right? My question to that is beyond credit. Are you thinking of what additional value use cases can be potentially enabled? I think carbon credit is something you said, but I don't know. So it'll be good to hear what future use cases you're thinking, where the value creation for the user actually increases. And this compliance, instead of compliance, it becomes an enabler of value, and hence compliance comes, by design.
Yeah, you want to know about other use cases?
Yes, please.
Yeah, we discussed about insurance using Seguro Defeso and some use case in the educational area also, but it's the education is from future. Seguro Defeso is close, it's more close to become reality. But the first step is to finish the rural credit use case, and then we implement the others.
Hi, thanks very much. Question specifically for Trinidad. The 5-week timeline sounds ridiculously short. Amazing would be the word. Can you speak a little bit about the challenges, if any, that you faced in pulling this off?
So the challenges were before the 5 weeks.
So then where does the 5 weeks start counting from?
So the 5 weeks is the implementation that we're working on with Manuel to get this done, right? But you could just imagine, I have to take you all the way back to Pune. And then when I went to Bangalore and I met Pramod Verma, and then we had to do cabinet notes and we had to get stakeholders on board and they had to have belief and they had to have understanding and they had to understand the culture of what we were trying to do. All of that had to be done in order for this to happen. I had to sign an MOU. We then had to get the vendor and we had to make sure that my team understood. So the 5 weeks is the end of the process. So I don't want to make it sound too exciting because there is work to do. 24 weeks in total, right? Right. So when you look at that, you have to figure out in the journey where you are, and there is work to be done. But this reduces it completely. And I know what you're doing in Barbados. I think this could work for you.
If they're doing it in Barbados, we're doing it in Jamaica, you're doing it in Trinidad. It's the same platform, right, that we're all using. So we should have a pilot for CSEC as a regional cooperation.
Absolutely, Prof.
That was one of the themes for the conference, and this will be one of the. Where's Dr. McNaughton to see one of the projects that can go forward as a regional cooperation.
Just wanted to speak about the request of shared values. How do you build the different partners who you're working with internally and in the political sphere, especially in the Trinidad space? Were you able to raise a shared value to get all the parties at the table? Because often that is one of our challenges that we face in building any form of public institutions.
So the Prime Minister of Barbados has a term that we borrowed, and she says to create a coalition of the willing. And that's a critical, important. You have to look for the individuals, the champions, the ones who want to do change, so that in any ministry and department and agency, you can find somebody who does not want to do it, and you will find maybe more people that don't want to do it, but you'll find one person that you can work with. And you have to be able to have a compelling argument. Our argument always is citizen impact. That student is where we started with. The pain point, their parents having to photocopy the stress of it, and we worked back from there. So really the answer is it came from Barbados, and that's DPI, right? We used your philosophy, coalition of the willing.
Sorry. Yes. Thank you very much to all three of you. And I think certainly in the case of Brazil and Trinidad and Tobago, I think the diversity of the solutions you have spoken to, I think is a testament to the flexibility of the DaaS approach. Having said that, though, I'd like to get a sense, given how diverse these two solutions are, what would you say would have been the key resources in both cases that were required to bring this to production, and to what extent, notwithstanding these digital public goods that are being used as building blocks, to what extent was customization required, if at all? So if you could speak to those two resources and the extent of customization.
Well, the key results of success, I think that was we had a engaged team and dedicated for this project, and we have daily, weekly meetings to implement this. So is the key of this. One of the key of the success was dedicate people to implement this, and you can complete.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Sorry.
iGovTT, we are the implementation arm of the Ministry of Digital Transformation. Our job is to get it done. We're the can-do guys. We're the ones that you come to with the problem and we have to figure it out. So we do have a very good, dedicated cadre of professionals. We do have a software development team, a cybersecurity team. We have QA, we have audit, right? So we produce ourselves software. As a matter of fact, we produce the CSME Skills application certificate platform so that you can apply for that online. That reduced the time from 8 weeks to 2 currently.
Yeah, because I'm assuming you'd have to take into considerations issues of cybersecurity, data
Yes.
protection as well, because and all of those would have to be factored in. You would have to have had persons with those skill sets on the team.
Absolutely. So you need those skill sets around the table.
Yeah, and two of the leaders of the team was in India also, so they knew Inji and how this work in background, and so they have technical knowledge about it. And the as I mentioned, we have to adapt a little bit to implement GovPR, but there are two very important person to that know the Inji background to do this.
And you need a manual, a Dan, for sure.
Very little. Can I get that? Sorry, just to clarify one thing. Hi, sorry. One thing that is important to clarify is that DaaS is basically a donor-funded program. So our main donor is co-developed for this. So thank you. And it's all there's no money spent from the government on the implementation. The idea of this 24 weeks is that we do the procurement with the DPG to select an SP. So there's no money from the government being involved. Sorry.
Thanks, yeah.
Yes. Thanks, guys. It was a great presentation. I have the following question. So, yesterday we were listening to some presentations about the architecture of these digital credentials schemes, right? There's someone who issues the credential, which is what we saw in the demo. There's a user that gets a credential typically in an identity wallet because that binds the credential to the person. And then there's the verification technology. So if we look at this screen here, if we just see like the PDF, I could take a screenshot of the PDF and I could present this PDF to someone else. And because it has a QR, the PDF would prove valid because I'm presenting the QR to someone. So the component of the identity wallet is essential to bind the credential to the person. So only the person that owns the credential can present it to another one, proving that that person is the subject of the credential. So I would like to ask here, what is the implementation, like what is the wallet part of the implementation? Has that already been implemented? Is that in the roadmap? How are you seeing that connection between the credential to the person? So that cannot be faked by someone that just gets the credential and impersonates the user. Thank you.
No, that's a great question. Maybe I can start, and then if you wanna build on top of that. Yeah. So the model that we are taking, it's a multimodal approach. So the what we expect is for some time we will need to live together, paper and digital. Um, okay. So yeah. So paper and digital. So what if you scan this QR code? What it would enable to verify is that this is an original document and it hasn't been altered. Then, of course, the wallet provides a second layer of authentication. That is that the person that's holding that credential is also the owner of that credential. Having said that, I think there's a long way to go to achieve full interoperability, and we've been discussing that in the last few days between all the different potential issuers and solutions that might coexist in this system. And a key principle from a DPI approach is minimalism. We are trying to provide these countries with the basic capabilities to issue, hold, and verify credentials. And on top of that, we can build new layers of security, new layers of privacy preserving solutions, new products, new digital services. That's the idea of DPI. We don't want to think from scratch from end-to-end solutions, but enable the countries with the minimum building blocks to for then the private sector, different government agencies, and central government itself to be able to iterate and combine those DPI blocks on that. I think we're about to close. So if you want to add on that, anything on that, we're okay. Maybe we can go with closing remarks. I just wanted to add last piece. Sorry. Okay. Do we still have like a few minutes or no? Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yes. This is a good thing. We are facing an abundancy problem. So you should join the workshop on verifiable credentials. We can discuss what are the first regional use cases that we are gonna have. So having good use cases, it's sometimes what takes the most to get with countries. So that's a part of the conversation. I just wanted to say DaaS is not just about verifiable credentials. We are also looking into other DPI blocks and expecting to grow this DaaS community in the further months. And having said that, I'm gonna leave you to for the closing remarks. What's the message? What are the takeaways we should take from today?
Well, I highly recommend DaaS because it was, as Manu said, fast, and about the support also to implement the solution. So it was a great experience, and I was impressed that it works. I was not with a lot of expectations, but it worked very well, and it's also worked with a part of solution developed by Brazil, GovBR. So I really recommend this.
Yeah, and very quickly, talk to Dan, talk to Manuel. They can help you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Inshan. Thank you, Luciana, for all the work you're doing on the ground. And let's go for a coffee.